Morning, everybody. Just getting the shop fired up, warmed up. It's cold out there, 10 degrees ambient, -8 wind chill. I was just going to get back with you while I'm waiting on some parts to come from the parts store. That when you're worried about keeping your vehicle from freezing, you need to worry about the ambient temperature, and that's the short answer. If you want a little bit of an explanation, stick around. And then I'm also going to go over some cooling tips and antifreeze tips for your vehicle that may save you some money down the road. So the reason that we worry about the ambient temperature is that's the temperature that it's going to be. The wind chill, if you want to think of it, is basically like the rate at which heat can be drawn out of an object. When you blow on your food, you're creating airflow over it, and you pull more heat out of it more quickly. It'll never get cooler than the temperature around it, but the rate at which you're pulling heat off of it is increased. So if you have two vehicles, it's going to be 0 degrees on the north side of town, 0 degrees on the south side of town, and they both turn their engine off at the same time. And say the operating temperature is 210 to 212 degrees, and one's parked in a 20-mile-an-hour wind, and one's parked in a 0-mile-an-hour wind. The wind chill at 0 miles an hour is the ambient temperature. The vehicle that's parked in a 20-mile-an-hour wind, say it sees -20 wind chill, the rate at which the heat in that engine is pulled out of it will be much greater. So that vehicle will cool off more quickly. However, they're both going to reach 0 degrees at some point. So that's a little bit longer answer why you worry about the ambient temperature. As far as cooling system tips, this little tool can save you a lot of money. An engine change for a cracked block, $3,500 to $10 grand. So save yourself a little money. Amazon, AutoZone, O'Reilly's, discount, wherever you want to get one of these, get one. Spend 10 bucks. Check your radiator at the end of every summer and see what it's protected to. Now, I've had someone else ask me, they said, well, what if I run pure antifreeze? Do I get better protection? The answer is no. There's a point that antifreeze and water mixed together has a very low protection point, and then once you cross that point, pure antifreeze loses its ability to not freeze. And just to give you an idea, I got a chart pulled up here. Pure water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit or 0 Celsius, which we all know, and manufacturers recommend a 50-50 mix. At 50-50 mix, it gets you protection down to around -30, 35 degrees, somewhere in between there. And the highest ratio that they recommend of antifreeze for those northern vehicles, if you go up to a 65% antifreeze by volume, you get protection down to almost -60 Fahrenheit. For most vehicles, you're not going to see -60, minus the Dakotas and Alaska and Canada. But if you go to 100% solution of antifreeze, your freeze protection's only down to about 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So this chart kind of shows that you get lower and lower temps between 50 and 60% protection, and then once you go over about 65%, it then begins to increase. While we're on the subject of it, never test your radiator hot, by the way. Don't pull up to AutoZone, pop the cap. It's going to hurt. You're going to get sprayed, steamed. You'll be buying antifreeze. So just a pointer, if you do use this, test it when your vehicle is cold or at ambient temperature. So while we're on the subject, I'm going to go over some stuff. This is good old green antifreeze. We've been using it forever. Ethylene glycol, cheap. They ran it in everything. Well, then a few years back, manufacturers started making special coolants, and you have to run their coolant. If I tell you, hey, we've got to run this coolant, it's not that I'm trying to make more money to upcharge you on coolant costs. It's that the manufacturers, which I think they did on purpose, made it where their coolants don't mix with other coolants. When this happens, crystals form in the solution. They clog up your heater core, they clog up your radiators, they cause corrosion, and I don't know why they couldn't just stick with good old pure ethylene glycol in the green form, but I'm sure safer for the environment, and I think it's a way for manufacturers to make money. If you mix, say, this green coolant and one of these new high-tech coolants, this is what they call a HOT. It's a hybrid organic antifreeze technology that they have, recommended for Chrysler diesels, Ford diesels. I've had several people mix green with this, or they mix what people think is universal. Hey, I put universal in there, so it should mix with everything. And what happens is they clog up their heater cores. I've had several late model Dodges here that run the Hote from the factory, and they ran universal. And guess what? They don't have a heater core anymore, and they got to get a new one put in because it does clog. Again, I don't like why they got away from one antifreeze, but now there's about 10 different ones. There's yellow, there's pink, there's red, green, universal, orange, gold, teal. There's probably a few others that I haven't seen yet. But anyway, something else for my motorcycle, guys. I run this in my motorcycle. I only run it in my motorcycle due to cost. This stuff is about 50 bucks a gallon. Motorcycle uses very little. It's a waterless coolant, and the reason I run it is has an extremely high boilover protection, upwards of 350 to 375 degrees. So you almost never boil over on your bikes, since sometimes we're moving real slow and you don't get that airflow over your radiators. This stuff, again, this stuff's $18 to $20 a gallon, but spend twice as much on the stuff that your manufacturer recommends, and you won't have to spend a lot of money to fix a heater core. I had a guy with Jeep in here the other day. The dealership quoted him almost $3,500 for a new heater core because they said he needed a new radiator, new heater core, flush, all this other stuff. So avoid that. It's a lot cheaper here, by the way. Yeah, make sure you're running about a 50-50 mix. Get you a $10 tool, save yourself thousands. Don't mix your coolants. It doesn't work anymore. If it's green, keep it green. If it's red, keep it red. If it calls for a special diesel phosphate-free hybrid organic antifreeze technology, use that stuff in it and save yourself some pain down the road. So, and then again, Windchill, that's just the rate at which heat can be drawn out of your engine. So check your vehicles. You got any questions, hit me up. And y'all, again, stay warm and safe out there. It's not snowing yet, but it's coming. So check your vehicles.